Hey guys, so I was thinking again some more about Star Trek Picard, and I wanted to find out, kind of think to myself, sort of why it went wrong or why it felt so strange to a lot of fans. And I think that you can sort of figure this out if you think about what actually made people interested in Star Trek. So for me, the main things about Star Trek that were really compelling and really interesting were the technology that they used to show us, bringing in various sort of astrophysics and theoretical physical kind of concepts, and showing them in practical use, something like the Dyson sphere, which I learned for the first time about on an episode of TNG. And then looking at exploration and finding new cultures and being shown sort of different ways of societies being set up and the pluses and minuses of those and how they kind of clash with um, our own sort of civilization and society and and our norms, and then sort of a crew of various aliens working together and doing their mission. And I think with Picard, most of these elements were missing. The technology stuff, I didn't really see anything new except for just an overabundance of holograms. The scientific things, they did kind of touch upon it a little bit. They had the where the admonition thing was. They had apparently there was like the 8 stars all in a precarious orbit and artificially constructed and so on. And then, but I really wasn't sold on this whole idea of the AI synth people as being a new civilization. I mean, they were created. I know they were. I mean, they were created by humans or people or some kind of organic life form. And we already had the stuff with Data and whether he's real or whether he's a new life form or not or whatever. And I think kind of going back to that and kind of making Data and Data's kind of people this phenomenal new discovery and this great achievement of evolution or whatever. I think that was really lazy. Um, and then with the exploration stuff, okay, they kind of explored Data, which we already had in the 90s or in late 80s. So there's not really anything new from this. And also the stuff of it would have been interesting actually if they'd allowed those aliens to come out of the extra dimension and have some kind of interaction so we could see what they were like and what kind of form they would have chosen to take. And I doubt such an advanced civilization of androids would have chosen centipede as their sort of look. But anyway, whatever. And then with the crew and interesting people and different backgrounds and whatever working together, we didn't have that. I mean, Dodge kind of you could you know you know possibly say that she's an alien or something, but or a different species or something, but basically she was just a human girl, whatever. So those things were missing. I think if you want to summarize this Star Trek series, it really wasn't Star Trek. It was basically a random action science fiction thing written by some people who really didn't know much about Star Trek, but given the badges of Star Trek with the label and then having a few of the old characters mixed in there, I think that's why it was sort of really weak. And it was just like there was no substance to it. There was just no depth to it. And actually, I was thinking this reminded me of like a series, like an episode of 20, like a season of 24. The show with Kiefer Sutherland. Like we have the evil bad guy, Romulan guy, the spy, and then we have like all these bad Romulans like on their mission doing stuff with the Borg cube and up to no good, and now trying to kill all these innocent poor robots. And actually like their kind of basic mission was correct because the robots would have like led to the destruction of all organic life. Anyway, and then we have on the other side the good guys. We have Picard, who's now like the 80-year-old 24th century version of Jack Bauer, who has to go in and like sort of figure out what's going on, stop all the spies, make a plan, stop the fighting, whatever, and save the galaxy. So I mean, it was just really, really weak. I think that it was just a random sort of science action sort of thing. And in fact, if they'd they didn't really get anything of substance out of Star Trek. I mean, apparently the new season of Picard is going to be about a pandemic or something, or they were talking about it based on all the stuff we have going on now. And apparently Picard's against it, and I mean Patrick Stewart's against it, and I think that's a good idea. He's right on this front. And in a way, they've already done Star Trek's already covered pandemics and like that kind of thing because we have the Vidians and the Phage and stuff. And when I'm talking about discovering, having new technologies and so on, like the stuff that Voyager did was so good. Like they had the slipstream stuff that they tried to work on, and like they had interesting species that they were finding, like I said, like the Vidians, and then they had the Herodians and their strange kind of brutal culture, and then we had the time travel. I can't remember what the name of that season was, but anyway, season arc was. But anyway, we had the guy, in the time machine trying to bring back his lost partner and stuff, like by changing the course of asteroids and stuff and living outside of time. They covered in like 2 or 3 episodes the previous writers had created characters that were of so much more substance and relatable and compelling than the random crew of weirdos that we got with in this version of Star Trek. And I am kind of including Picard in this because he was weird in this story in this series. Anyway, I think so. Missing those elements of the technology, the exploration, the multiracial crew, and the real, like something substantial in terms of the science, some kind of astrophysics and theoretical physics. That is why this really wasn't Star Trek, and why I think a lot of the old fans really were put off it. So anyway, that's everything I have to say right now. Thanks so much for listening. Please leave a comment and tell me what you guys think. And if you like what you see, please subscribe and leave a like. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys in the next one.